Hey guys, today I recorded some Master Rank Sableye solo queue gameplay for us to check out using a really unique build, so I'm excited to show exactly what we've got going on here. Make sure to stick around for the full video because while I am showing the gameplay, I'm going to be talking about the exact emblems and held items that I'm using, and also some strategy tips for Sableye to help you improve your gameplay. First of all, super quickly, I'll introduce myself. I am in the top 120 Sableye players in the world, quickly working towards the top 100 leaderboard. This is my 12th season in a row in Masters, with almost 2,000 ranked matches as Sableye and about a 53 to 54% win rate, pretty much all coming from solo queue. Okay, let's get into it. So let's talk about the moveset first. I've played pretty much every possible build you could imagine with Sableye, but here I'm using Shadow Sneak and Feint Attack. This is actually my absolute favorite Sableye build, even though it's the least selected combo according to the Unite database. This moveset allows you to do a lot of consistent damage with Feint Attack during team fights, and also set those Eos bombs defensively to prevent the enemy from scoring. You can easily escape to the back line with Shadow Sneak, just to keep that steady flow of Feint Attack coming and to stay alive, and also use your stealth to sneak around to the enemy back line and hit them with burst damage from Shadow Sneak and just completely disrupt their attackers. Confuse Ray and Knockoff have a lot of advantages in terms of delivering crowd control and stun, so I understand why they're more popular. But in some ways, I think they actually contribute to a more careless and overconfident playstyle, which can be pretty dangerous for a squishy mon like Sableye. Also, these moves pair really well with the held items I'm using here. XP Share and Resonant Guard are amazing items on any supporter. Giving your lane partner constant shield with Resonant Guard is super valuable. And also I find that there's a lot of opponents who are more likely to retreat than keep pushing once they see that shield go up. Even though it's not a huge shield, it has only a 10-second cooldown and it applies to both you and the nearest ally with the lowest HP. So it makes you and your allies a lot harder to KO, and it's just a great thing to have on as a support. XP Share, I barely even have to give a justification for that. Pretty much everybody in the competitive scene knows that XP Share in each lane is essential. It gives a huge experience boost to your team overall when compared to a team that's not running XP Share. And plus with Sableye, it gives some additional speed and HP, which is great because he's pretty squishy. So even if you're not confident in your teammates in solo queue, it's still an extremely important item, and it's just not worth giving up for another item in that slot. And it can help you get ahead in the early game. Now for the last held item, there's a lot of different options that are good here. I like to use an offensive attack based item for my third held item. For this build, I'm using Charging Charm. I've seen people make good use of Cursed Bangle, since that pairs really well with Feint Attack's persistent damage. I've also seen a lot of Sableye users run Attack Stack, but in my opinion, stacking with Sableye leads to some reckless gameplay for a lot of people, and stacking isn't really as compatible with XP Share if you want to get the most out of XP Share for your team. XP Share encourages you to stay back with your teammate and help them level up, as opposed to putting yourself in danger in the early game, so I just think the trade-off is not worth going for the attack stacks. I think the main reason a lot of players complain about Sableye users is actually stacking and scoring-based builds. Sableye's passive makes it super easy for him to get stacks, so I understand why a lot of people play those builds, but it is a really risky way to play the character, and it's just not as useful in the long term as running XP Share. And frankly, you don't need that much additional attack for Feint Attack. It does its job already, and you have to be careful with how you allocate those held item slots, so I think this build gives you what you need. But like I said, I do encourage you to use one held item slot for an attacking item. Charging Charm pairs extremely well with Shadow Sneak, since you're easily able to charge up the charm when you move quickly around the field, And that boosted charge will also trigger if someone's hit by your feint attack bombs. If you stack like 3 feint attack in a patch of grass that you know the enemy is going to check, and you have that boosted charging charm damage ready, you can easily take out like half of an attacker's HP. Plus the movement speed from charging charm is great. You'll also notice I'm using slow smoke as my battle item. X speed or eject button are generally better, but slow smoke has such a low cooldown and pairs so well with shadow sneak that it's worth using it to get that escape option up and ready more frequently. If you use slow smoke and then immediately enter invisibility because of shadow sneak's passive, you can easily get away while your opponent is stuck in place. Also, slow smoke can help your entire team escape, not just you. And it can be used offensively to prevent enemies from escaping, which you'll see a couple of times in this match. If you are using a stacking build with Sableye, then of course X speed is absolutely the way to go to get back to goal. But for a defensive support option, slow smoke actually turns out to be an extremely effective option. The emblem setup is pretty straightforward. 6 brown emblems for attack and 6 white for HP. Which specific emblems you choose is up to your personal preference, but I like prioritizing the flat movement speed increase. As far as strategy, it's super important to be present with your lane partner while you're farming wild Pokemon to make the most use of your XP share. One of the biggest mistakes in general that I see Unite players make is being too aggressive. Each time you get KO'd, the opponent who killed you is gaining experience for it, so it's much better to be cautious, stay back and level up, and don't feed the enemy team. And scoring isn't as important as you think it is. It's much more important to stay alive and level up and prevent your enemies from leveling up. Plus you have a huge advantage fighting on your own goal zone, of course, so just playing defensively is the way to go. Feint attack lends really well towards preventing the enemy from scoring and catching them as they run away from encounters or if they charge in too quickly. So basically you want to take advantage of the enemy being too aggressive and getting out of position, and just be super careful not to get out of position yourself. You'll notice in this match, pretty much everyone does a good job of grouping together for all the major objectives, which is critical. You're usually not going to win a team fight if you're outnumbered, so it's very rare that it would be better for you to stay back and farm than join the team fight. Especially as a support, the team fight should in almost all situations be your priority. Again, a lot of the reason I think people dislike Sableye players is that there's a tendency for them to focus too much on scoring and not join those team fights, which is a huge mistake. Sableye is super helpful in team fights. His Unite move can change the course of the entire game if you catch 2 or 3 of the enemy frontline Pokemon in it. Either send them home or immobilize them for your frontline to take them out. But basically, Sableye is a support and you need to play him as a support, stay by your teammates, provide additional damage and disruption, and help them to level up. In this scenario right here, prime example of being a bit too aggressive, so I actually should not have been pushing that top lane. Basically, I was supporting the Espeon and just wanting to follow them and stay by them as they fought the opponent. But obviously, you've got to keep track of the clock. We're close on 2 minutes, so that was a pretty risky maneuver. And also, the opponent made a huge mistake, which you'll see in a couple seconds, of trying to push top to backstack and to just score points instead of centering for the Rayquaza fight. 2 of them are top and 3 of them are bottom. Our team, once they respawn, are pretty well grouped together, so the Dragapult's easily able to kill one of the opponents who's trying to backstack, which sets us up to ambush the remaining opponents in the center. They already got a head start on Rayquaza, but we're able to be all grouped together for the Rayquaza fight.